Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashraf al-anbiya wa mursaleen. Nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma anfa'na bima 'allamtana wa 'allimna ma yanfa'una. Allahumma zidna 'ilman innaka anta 'alimun hakim. Allahumma ij'al hadhihi al-muhadara hujjatan lana la hujjatan 'alayna ya rabbal 'alamin. Amma ba'd. This is our second class in Kitab al-Nikah from Shaykh Abu Musa al-Hajjawi rahimahullah ta'ala and his book Zad al-Mustaqni'. Before we start the class today, we have mulahadatan, two things that we want to address before we get into the class, inshallah. Number one, this is for the people that listen in online and for the people that are here. This class is not set up to be a class where we talk about people during the class. Last week it kind of got out of hand somewhat, but this class is ilm, knowledge. Knowledge from the Salaf, how marriages are to be performed. This is not a class where, or any of the classes that we do here is not set up to be a class mentioning people, talking about this one or that one. So I want to apologize for what happened last week, but if situations like that need to happen, then there's a time and a place for it. This class is not for that. If there's an issue that people have or some confusion, there's no need to mention names. Mention the issue itself, and we can deal with the issue without including people. And Nabi alayhi salatu salam, he said in an authentic hadith, "Ma bala aqwamun yaf'alu kada o kada." He said, what about the people that do this and that and this and that? And then he deal with the issue like that. That's number one. Number two, last week during the class, people were involved in the class, and there was a lot of laughter coming from the sister side. This is not appropriate. And it was very loud. It's not appropriate. It's something that we have to remember, that this class is deen. It's religion. Something that is very serious. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, that we are put here on this earth for the purpose of worshiping Allah. Going through this particular chapter or marriage, this is a part of ibadah. This is a part that's very important that we should understand and know, because through marriage comes children, through children come other children, and generations are formed and established by way of marriage. So it's important that everyone take this class very seriously and also ask questions to learn about it. At any event, we're going to continue where we left off at. Last week we left off at the part of the khutbah to Ibn Mas'ud. The khutbah for Ibn Mas'ud. Who remembers what that was talking about? What is the khutbah of Ibn Mas'ud? طيب. Huh? What is it? طيب. What was the purpose of it? When was it done?
It was done anytime that the Prophet did anything that was important.
When was it done as it relates to marriage?
Before
you start the marriage.
Is it wajib or sunnah?
Sunnah.
Ahsant. Right. So the khutbah ibn Hajjah, or the khutbah ibn Mas'ud, malish. The khutbah ibn Mas'ud is a sunnah. It's something that is done when a person gets married. Once a person gets married, there is a dua lil mutazawwij. The people that get married, there's a dua that should be made for them. Does anyone know that dua? Huh? The dua is Barakallahu lakuma, may Allah bless both of you, wa alaykuma, and upon both of you, wa jama'a baynakuma fi khairin wa afiyah. And may Allah bring that unity together upon good and healthy, and health or goodness. فَإِذَا زُفَّتْ إِلَيْهِ, and when the spouse or the woman, she actually goes to her husband, for the very first time, there's also a dua that is made. Does anyone know what that dua is? Huh? Does anyone know? You don't know? Like, is anybody married? No, nobody's married now. Fourth class, everybody's married. Huh? Shit. Nobody knows? Put your head down, like, don't call on me. Like, the dua is, Allahumma inni as'aluka khayraha. Is that you put your hand on your wife's forehead? Allahumma inni as'aluka khayraha. Oh Allah, I ask you from the good from her. وَمَا جَبَلَتْهَا عَلَيْهِ. And that which she tends to go towards. وَأَعُوذُ بِكَ مِنْ شَرِّهَا. And I seek refuge in you from the evil from her. وَشَرُّ مَا جَبَلَتْهَا عَلَيْهِ. And that which she is naturally inclined to. This is the dua that a man makes. He places his hand on his wife's forehead and he makes this dua. Tayyib. As for today's lecture or content, there's a lot to be covered today, inshallah. Today we're going to start with a fasl fi arkan al-nikah, the pillars of nikah. Does anyone know what the pillars of nikah is or are? What are the pillars of nikah? Does anyone know? Like, if a person wanted to get married, what's necessary? Are there things that need to be said? How many people married again?
That need to be said.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Don't be shy, brothers. Raise your hand. If you're married, you don't listen. If you're married, you don't know, it's okay. That's why we're here, we're learning. If everyone already knew, we wouldn't be sitting here. Right? So it's okay. I'll put you on, it's nothing personal. Huh? We still brothers. But what are the pillars of nikah? There are 3 of them. What are they? It's real basic. If someone were to think about it, be like, okay, that makes sense. All right? The first one is al-arkanahu az-zawjani al-khaliyani min al-mawani'. The first one is, in order to get married, there has to be a what? Has to be a what? We didn't get to that part. We're talking about the pillars. In order for there to be a marriage, there must be what? There has to be a person to marry. Az-zawjan al-khaliyani min al-mawani'. Meaning, there has to be a man and a woman, right? Al-khaliyani min al-mawani'. It means that there has to be a man and a woman, and there must be something in place, or there can't be anything in place that would prevent them from getting married. What's an example of something that would prevent them from getting married?
The person being married already.
The person?
The woman.
The woman, okay. The woman being married already, that's one. What else? There's a lot of different things. What else?
She being pregnant.
She being pregnant, depends.
Oh, it depends.
Depends, meaning maybe the person that divorced her was,
The husband already.
Yeah.
Okay.
the origin is not, perhaps she's in iddah, right? So if a woman's in iddah, she can't what? She can't get married, and this is a mawani', this is a prohibitor. The next thing, there has to be something called al-ijab. How do we translate ijab? Yeah, here, touch him. Nothing. Offer. Okay. So, the first thing, there has to be an offer for marriage. What does that mean? I say, for example, there's a man and a woman, and the ijab, it goes like this. The wali will say, zawajtuka fulana, right? I offer you a marriage, or I marry you to sister such and such, right? And then there has to be an offer, and then it has to be a what? An acceptance, right? So then the zawj, or the one that is interested for marriage, he will say, I accept. Is that clear? Yes or no? Very simple. It has to be a zawjani al-khaliyani min al-mawani'. It has to be a man and a woman, and they do not have anything that will prevent them from being married, i.e. she's in iddah, or she's married to someone else, etc. There also has to be an offer, meaning he says, the wali will say, zawajtuka fulana, I married you to the sister fulana, right? And the zawj, or the man, will say, I accept. He will say what? I accept. طيب. ولا يصح ممن يحسن العربية بغير لفظ زوجت أو أنكحت أو وقبلت هذا النكاح أو تزوجتها أو تزوجت أو قبلت ومن جهلها لم يلزمه تعلمها. طيب. The next part now is just going to explain that process. So that process is what? ولا يصح ممن يحسن العربية بغير لفظ. If a person knows Arabic, if a person can speak Arabic, then they must use the exact term zawajtu. They must use that term zawajtu or ankahtu. They have to use those statements or those particular terms. And this is the wali. If he knows Arabic, he must say this. And then the zawj, or the man that is getting married, he must say the term qabiltu, meaning I accept, but that exact phrase, qabiltu hada nikah, or I accept this marriage, or tazawwajtuha, or I married her, or tazawwajtu or qabiltu, meaning those terms have to be used if one yuhsin, meaning they can speak Arabic. You don't have to be the best Arabic speaker, but enough to understand those terms. And it says, وَمَنْ جَهِلَهُمَا لَمْ يَلْزَمْهُ تَعَلُّمُهُمَا وَكَفَاءَهُ مَعْنَاهُمَا الْخَاصُ بِكُلِّ لِسَانٍ. If a person is not knowledgeable of those terms, perhaps they don't know the Arabic language to use those terms. La bats, it's okay. It's not necessary that that person goes out and learn those terms in Arabic. Rather, it will be sufficient in the language that they know, as long as the meaning is conferred, as long as the meaning is understood. Is that clear? طيب. فإن تقدم القبول لم يصح. So now they get into the details. Let's say, for example, the husband, he says, I accept, before the wali offered. Can you do it that way? Can he says, I accept, it's okay, I married you to her. La. You have to offer first, and then there has to be an acceptance. You can't accept before there is a what? Before there's an offer. That makes sense, right? طيب. وإن تأخر على الإيجاب صح ما دام في مجلس ولم يتشاغل بما يقطعه. The next issue now. Let's say, for example, it says, وَإِن تَأَخَّرَ عَنَ الْإِجَابِ صَحَّ. Let's say, for example, the wali, he says, I married you to fulana. And now the husband or the man, he's like, oh man, like he doesn't really answer right away. He's delaying like that. But they're all still sitting in the same majlis. It's getting cold feet. It's like, man, this is real. This is real. It says, this does not nullify it, right? If it's as long as it's orphan, as long as it's something that is not considered extremely long culturally, right? And then it says, وَلَمْ يَتَشَاغَلَا بِمَا يَقْطَعُهُ. Also, if the wali says, I married you to fulana, and he's like, before he answers, hold up, I gotta run out to the car. He gets on the phone, has a conversation with somebody, and comes back in, and he says, I accept. La. Because now he's separated from the majlis. He's separated from the city. So then there will have to be another offer again. وَإِن تَفَرَّقَ قَبْلَهُ بَطَلَ. And if he leaves, let's say, for example, the wali offers the woman for marriage, and they leave, and then he accepts later, it also is what? Null and void. It also is what? Null and void. These are, some people may say, okay, well, this is common sense stuff. Yes, it's common sense stuff, but it has to be mentioned so that there's no ambiguity. So everything is what? Is clear. The next part. Now we have something called the conditions of the nikah. This part here is very, very detailed. There's going to be quite a few issues to be discussed. The first part, which is fairly simple, it says, وَمِنْهُ شُرُوط. أَحَدُهَا, the first shurut. If you look through some of the other books of Mutawwalat, the more extensive books in marriage, there may be 5 conditions. But here we're only going to mention 4. But in some of the other books, there may be 5. And there's a lot of detail. But we're going to make it concise, that which is necessary in our society to understand, for the most part. The first one, ta'yinu zawjayn. Now, in order for a person to get married, they must what? They must know who the person they're marrying, right? In our society, it's quite possible a sister can marry a brother and not even know his name. Is that realistic? Yes. Or the brother may marry the sister and not know the sister's name. I don't even know her real name. It's a problem. In the land of the Muslims, in the Islamic courts, right? A woman comes in front of a judge, the man, they have their IDs in front of them. They know who the person is they're talking to. Right? Unfortunately, in some cases, you may have the sister, she may go to a masjid or a center and fill out an application. Her name is Fatima, whatever. She fills out an application. She comes back a week later, no one knows her. She may wear niqab, no one knows her. She'll come back, fill out another application. Khadija something. So Fatima, she gets married, and Khadija gets married. They're both the same sister. It's happening. This is playing games. But it happens. This is because what? Because we're not able to make what? Ta'yin. We're not able to say, nah, this is sister Fulana, and this is brother Fulana. Is that clear? Huh? When people get married, you need to know who that person is. Who are you? What is your name? Yeah, they call him Muhammad, but what's his government name? If he goes to the hospital, how can you find him? Who is he? Huh? These are here when they say ta'ina zawjayn, this is a condition for the marriage. How do you get married to someone you don't know what is? I don't know your name. Okay? Yeah, so then if we say that it's a condition, this means that if that is not fulfilled, there is no what? There's no marriage. If you get married to someone and don't know, you can't even identify them. How is that a marriage? This is a condition. طيب. So it says تعيين الزوجين فإن أشار الولي إلى زوجة. So then, let's say they're in a sitting. The wali says, Fulan Muhammad, I'm going to marry you to sister, and I point to her, or the wali points to her. Or Sammaha, or he names her, meaning her name. He knows her name. Or Wasafaha, or he gives a description of her. Bima tamayyazu bihi, something, he gives a description of her that can only be her. Right? فَإِنْ قَالَ زَوَّجْتُكَ بِنْتِي وَلَهُ وَاحِدًا لَا أَكْثَرُ صَحْ. Let's say, for example, the wali says, I married you to my daughter. Is this sufficient? Is that sufficient? Yes or no?
No, that's all you
You might have 4.
Ahsant. If he says, I marry you to my daughter alone, and he has multiple daughters, this is not sufficient. Because the father could be saying, okay, I'm going to marry you to this one, but he wanted that one. When we look at these issues too, it's always important to note that this was written, these issues were discussed over 1,000 years ago, right? So sometimes you may hear this and say, well, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense in our society here. But perhaps in other societies, this makes a lot of sense because of the way their structure is set up, right? طيب. The next one, and this one it's extensive, but we're going to just mention this one part. The next condition is a rida, is both party being pleased to marry the next one. So the first condition is what? Ta'yin az-zawjayn, meaning you must know who the spouses are. They must know each other, who that person is. I'm marrying this person, the name is this, this, and this. Or I'm marrying that brother, his name is this, this, and this. The next one is that they must have rida, meaning they must both be wanting or, interested and desirous to marry that other party, right? That's the second condition. The third condition here is rather extensive. And this condition here has to do with the wali. Before we get into that question, and the sisters, they can answer as well. Does anyone know what a wali is? The difference between a wali and a wakil? Or are they one and the same? Ahmed, this is for the brothers and the sisters. Sisters, you're allowed to answer questions.
The wakil is typically a family member.
The wakil is a family member. Okay. Huh?
Wali is specifically the father, but if not a father, a family member. And the wakil is someone appointed. So it's usually the imam or someone he appoints. Usually.
Somebody else. So you never heard of how many of you brothers married? You married. All right. Huh? What's the difference between a wali and a wakil? Sisters, anyone know? طيب. This is important that everyone understands this here. A wakil is anyone that you put in place of you to do anything. What does that mean? Let's say, for example, I give Jihad $20. Say, Jihad, take this $20 and I want you to buy for me a pack of gum. And in change, I want you to give that person $3 and that person $4 and bring me the rest. This is a wakil.
So is that similar to like power of attorney?
Exactly. Power of attorney for a specific case. So I just made Jihad my wakil. I'm a man and I can have a wakil. There's a woman and she can have a wakil. A wakil for business transactions. A wakil for this or a wakil for that. Are we clear? I think in this city in particular, the term wakil has been misused and misunderstood. Allah knows best why. But this is, a wakil is not a person known to represent a woman in marriage. This is not a wakil. Once again, a person that represents a woman in marriage is not called a wakil. A wakil is anyone who represents anyone for any type of transaction. But it's not specifically used for marriage. Now we're going to explain the difference. What is a wali? In general, we're going to get into details about who can be a wali. But in general, a wali is a male family member of her sister that is from his or from her asaba. Is from her asaba. What is asaba? The father's side. But what does that mean, asaba? What does that mean, asaba? An asaba are people, male family members that when you pass away, whatever inheritance that goes to them is غير مقدر, meaning there is no specific amount. So let's say, for example, when he died, this person gets 2/3, this person gets a ruba', 1/4, this person gets half. When it comes to the asabat, There's no limit. These are the only people who are legally the wali for a sister in general, for the asl. We're going to talk about that more in detail. Right now, we're going to talk about it in general, and then we're going to go into fine detail on who these people are. But right now, this is a general synopsis. I just want to make clear the difference or the distinction between a wakil and a wali. So let's go back to the wali again. Let's say the sister is Muslim, her father is Muslim. Her father is her what?
Wali.
Her wali. Let's say, for example, the sister tells her father, yes, I'm interested in brother Fulan, I want to sit with him, etc. So the father, he calls up Jihad. Says, Jihad, I want you to be my wakil. Huh? Jihad is whose wakil? The father's, not the sister's. She can't have a wakil. Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ, he said, La nikah illa bi wali. The Prophet ﷺ, he said that there is no marriage unless the woman has a wali. So then there's no place for a wakil for a sister if she has no what? No wali. Well, there. Is that clear? It's clear? Type. I'm going to explain some more. The father now, he tells Jihad, he says, look, Jihad, I'm going out of town. I want you to fill in for me, for my daughter. I want you to be my what? My wakil. So Jihad is the wakil for who? For the sister or for the father? For the father. Why? Because the father is the what? Wali. Type. Is that clear?
Yes.
All right. Now, let's say, for example, sister doesn't have a wali. We're going to get into that towards the end. Right now, we're just stuck on the wali and the wakil. If this is not clear, we'll explain it again. If it is clear, then we'll move to the next part. Is this clear?
It's clear.
Right. Now, the next part. Ash-shart al-thalith. The third condition for marriage is there must be a wali. Wa-shurutuhu. So the wali has conditions. The wali has what? Conditions. Outside of them being the male asaba, meaning that if she dies, that they don't get no specific amount, they get a lot or a little, depending on what's left, etc. We're going to mention some conditions. From the conditions, a taklif, that the male must be mukallaf. A mukallaf is a person that is what? Past the age of puberty. The pen has been lifted on, or the pen has not been lifted on them. Rather, these are men that are accountable. They're accountable in front of Allah. So number one, they must be what? They must have taklif, mukallaf. They must be accountable. That means the salah is upon them, fast is upon them, hajj is upon them, etc., etc. This is the first condition. This is the first what? First condition. I suggest you guys write this down because it's important. These are real issues. And then we're going to find out how some people get jammed up because these conditions are not met. So number one, taklif. That they must be of age, puberty, etc. The second one, a dhukuriya. They must be men, males. So the first one, they must be what? They must reach the age of puberty. The second one, they must be men. The third one, hurriya. Hurriya means they must be free, not enslaved. This does not mean that this person can't be in prison. Intabi. Hurriya here is talking about hurriya, they're not slaves. Not free meaning they're not incarcerated, because a wali could be incarcerated, but then he can make someone his what? Wakil. While there. The next one, some brothers might say, oh well, sisters, oh my father's locked up, he can't be my wakil, and go to the masjid fulan. Nah. It's a problem. And we're going to talk about that too. The next one, a rushdu fil aqd. That the boy or male must have knowledge of marital affairs. الرشد في العقد. So let's say, for example, a sister, she has a son that's 14, 15. She's like, oh, he's my wali, so he's gonna... How many 14, 15-year-olds you know have knowledge of marital contracts and affairs and her rights? Because remember, the wali, his job is to protect the person they're responsible for. How many 14, 15-year-olds are like that? Not in this society, I haven't seen many. They must have knowledge of the contract, knowledge of the marital contract, what it entails and what it doesn't. The next one, al-ittifaq ad-din. Al-ittifaq ad-din, meaning they must be of the same religion. They must be of the same religion. Right? The next one, al-adala. They must be just. They must be people that are just. So, based on those conditions that we just mentioned, is it permissible for a sister to say that, well, my father's Muslim, but he doesn't pray, he's not on it. I'm going to go get married over here at this masjid because they're on it and my father's not on it. La yajuz. It's not permissible. Father? But actually, we've heard many cases like that. Sisters say, well, my father, he's not on the sunnah. He doesn't pray with us. He's not on the sunnah. He prays over there. That wilaya is a haqq min Allah. That's the right that Allah gave that father over his child. That right cannot be taken like that. The next issue, فَلَا تُزَوِّجُوا إِمْرَأَةً نَفْسَهَا. That a woman cannot marry off herself. That a woman cannot marry off herself. وَلَا غَيْرَهَا. And she cannot marry someone else off. And we're going to meet some of the statements of the Salaf as it relates to this. قال الشيخ رضي الله تعالى. And the Shaykh here in the fiqh Imam Ahmed, when they say a Shaykh, usually they're talking about Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah. So it says قال الشيخ, يعني it could be Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah or قد يكون Ibn Qudama al-Maqdisi, either or. He says أنه الولي فلا نكاح إلا بولي. That there is no marriage unless a woman has a wali. فإن تزوج المرأة نفسها أو غيرها لم يصح. If a woman were to marry herself off or marry someone else off, that marriage is not correct. And it says ولا تمليك التوكيل. And a woman does not own the right to make someone her wakil. Why is that? Why can't a woman make a brother or a masjid or a place her wakil? Why not?
She need a wali in order to get married.
Because she needs a wali, not a wakil. Does that make sense? You look confused, Sheikh. If you're confused, stop. Let's clarify it.
Confused on what you're saying. I'm just waiting till the time to ask the question.
What's the question?
Because it might come in.
So what's the question? I'll tell you.
The question is, so if she doesn't have a wali, if she doesn't have a wali, a male family member,
Then who?
then who?
All right, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else? طيب. ولا تملك التوكيل غير وليها. So no one can make a wakil for her except for her what? Her wali. Her wali can make someone his wakil. She cannot have a wakil because she's not a wali. Is that clear? I know it sounds kind of confusing, or it doesn't.
No,
It's clear
It's
from
very
what
clear.
you said.
Yeah, from what I said, it's clear.
Right.
All right, so if you listen to what I said, then alhamdulillah. Like, so it says, فَإِن تَزَوَّجَهَا في تزويجها فإن فعلت لم تصح. So say for example, a woman, she marries herself, her marriage would not be correct because she didn't have a wali. Who holds this position? Who from the Salaf hold this position? It says وَرُوِيَ ذَلِكَ عَنْ عُمَرٍ, and this was on Umar ibn Khattab, وعلي ibn Abi Talib, وابن Abbas, وأبي هريرة, وعائشة رضي الله تعالى عنهم, وإليه ذهب. This is from the companions, and then we're going to mention some of the tabi'i who also held this position. وإليه ذهب سعيد بن المسيب والحسن البصري وعمر بن عبد العزيز وجابر بن زيد والثوري وابن أبي ليلى وابن شبرمة وابن مبارك وعبيد الله العنبري والشافعي وإسحاق وأبو أبيد. وروي عن ابن السرين والقاسم ومحمد والحسن بن صالح وأبي يوسف لا يجوز لها ذلك بغير إذن الولي, that it is not permissible for her to do that, meaning to marry someone else off, except by way of her wali. This is a very extensive portion here as it relates to a woman and her getting married and ensuring that she has representation by a wali. And Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, La nikaha illa bi wali, that there's no marriage except by way of a wali. So some people may say, oh, wait a minute, what about the fiqh of Imam Abi Hanifa? They hold the position that women can be married without a wali. That is a position, it's a minority, very small position and opinion from the Salaf. However, the majority position on this is the hadith of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he clearly said in this authentic hadith, La nikaha illa bi wali. However, there may be exceptions to the rules, but in general, the rules are mentioned for a reason. If we were to spend time speaking about all of the exceptions, then no one would know what the rules are to begin with. Just like people when they talk about other people, right? Is it permissible to speak about people at times? Yes. Is it permissible to backbite at times? Yes. But that's not the rule. The rule is that it's haram. The rule is that it's haram to speak about other people, but there are exceptions when it becomes permissible. Unfortunately, when you're busy with knowledge, you should always focus on the rule as opposed to the exception. The rule is this, not always looking for the exception to the rule. So now we're going to mention who can be the wali of the sister. يقدم أبو المرأة. Now pay attention, we're going to mention 13 different men. 13. How many? 13. There's also more than that, but the other, they're not really applicable in our society, so we left them off. 13 men who can serve as wali. The first one, Abu Mar'a fi nikahiha. The first wali is her father. The first wali is her what? Her father. Along with all of the conditions that were mentioned, obviously, it's going to be her father. Thumma, who's right after the father?
Grandfather.
You say grandfather.
Brother.
Thumma wasiyuhu fi. Whoever the father says can do it after him. The father has power.
Right. He got the juice.
He got juice, yeah.
So, like, let's say the father passed away and he never said nothing.
Then that's different. Right now we're talking about, let's say the father puts in his will, after me I want brother Fulan to serve in my place.
Even if he's not a relative.
Even if he's not a relative. Even if he is not a relative. Whoever the father deems. That's the power. The father has a lot of power in these affairs. If he says, nope, I want this person. So number one is the father of the sister. And then whoever he whoever he determines to be sufficient. Right? Then after the father, the third one is Jadduha li ab, is her grandfather. But which grandfather? Her father's father. Her what? Her father's father. Wa in ala. And her father's father's father. Her father's 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 father. All the way up. When they say wa in ala, this means in going up along that chain. Okay? So we have the father. Whoever the father deems to be suitable, then the grandfather. The father's father. Thumma ibnuha. And the fourth one is her son. The next one is her son. Wa in nazal. It could be her son, or her son's son, or her son's son's son, and like this all the way down. Does that make sense? Thank you. Now,
The father, or whomever the father appoints, the grandfather, and then the son.
yes. Right? Now it's going to get interesting. Thumma akhuha li abawain. Then her brother is called the akh al-shaqiq. Her brother that shares the same mother and father. Her brother that shares the same mother and father. This is called an akh shaqiq. Why is there a distinction between a brother that shares the same mother and father, a brother that shares the same father, or a brother that shares the same mother? Why is there a distinction in Islam? Does anyone know? Because of the language? The lineage? La. Why is there a distinction?
The bloodline.
The blood is the same. I mean, they're brothers.
I'm talking about from.
The blood is not the. Go ahead, I'm listening.
No, what I'm saying is it's coming from. You saying they got the same mother and father, right?
So you have a brother, because all that is very relevant here. You have a brother from the same mother and father. You have a brother from the same father, and you have a brother from a mother. They're all different levels in Islam. Why is there a distinction there?
I just don't know how to explain it.
Don't it gotta be from the father though? It gotta be from the father.
We were just talking about why is there a distinction right now? Why is that distinction mentioned?
I don't know how to
I
explain
guess
it.
because of the rights of the father, though.
Because of rights of the father?
That's what I think.
Anyone else? So it all goes back to inheritance. If a person dies and they have a brother from the same mother and father, they're going to get a certain percentage. If it's just a brother from a father, then they're going to get a certain percentage. And if it's just a brother from a mother, then they're going to get a certain percentage. The same mother and father, they get a higher percentage. Then the father gets a little bit less, and then from the mother gets less than that. So when it comes to wali and awliya, a lot of things in Islam is based off of that. Is that clear? So then the next one is thumma akhuha li abawain. Then her father from this, or her brother from the same mother and father serves as her wali. Right? Thumma li ab. And then if there's no brother from the same mother and father, then it's the brother that she shares the same father with. Are we clear? All right, what if they don't have that? Thumma banuhuma. Then their children. Meaning her brothers from the same mother and father children, his son, or her brother that they have the same father, his son. Does that make sense? Like, that's number 8.
We way off the field.
Oh, what number are we on? What the sister say? 7. Like, what was 7?
8 no.
Like, number 7 was the brother that shares the same father. That's number 7. That's number 7. All right, let me back up there.
Father, whoever the father says can be the wali.
That's number 2.
Grandfather.
That's number 3.
Son.
That's number 4.
Brother that shares the same mother.
No. The children, the grandson, Thumma Banuhu. Oh, I didn't say that? Well, see, that's my fault. Let me back up. Human, man, Benny Adams. The first one is, the father. Then whoever the father says can be. Then the grandfather. That's number 3.
Before we got son.
Yeah, I'm going to back up a little bit here. So, number 3 was the grandfather on the father's side, right? Her father's father, right? Then, Ibnuha. Then her son is number 4, right? Then, Thumma Benuhu. Then, the son's children, meaning the grandson, and then the grandson and the grandson. That's number 5.
Son's children, says that's number 5.
So the son coming for the brother?
Yes. All right, so before we move forward, let's make sure we're everybody up to speed. Number 5 is Thumma Benuhu. So we have the son is number 4. And what if the son's not there, but the son has sons? Then the son's sons, that's number 5. Her grandson. From her son, not grandson from her daughter. Are we clear? All right. Then we're going to go to number 6. Number 6 is Thumma Achuha. Then her brother is number 6. That share the same mother and father. That's number 6. Thumma, then her brother that shares the same father but not the same mother. This is number 7. Thumma Banuhuma. And then her nephews from them. Meaning the nephews from the brother that has the same mother and father, and then the nephews from the brother that shares the same father. This is number 8. Repeat which one? Number 8 is the children or the sons from the brother that shares the same father, and the sons from the brother that shares the same, the sons from the brother that shares the same mother and father, and then the sons from the brother that shares the same father. Yes?
Comes to the nephew, does the nephew of...
They didn't distinguish between them. They just said Benuhum, then the nephews. It's a good question. But then they say Benuhum Kadalik. So this Kadalik here, actually they do distinguish. They say Kadalik, yes, it will be in that order. Meaning the nephews first, the nephews that have their mother and father have the same parent, same brother and sister, and then the ones just through the father. So then it will be in that order as well. Are we clear? All right, let's move on to the next part. Thumma ammuha li abawain. Then the next one is her uncle. Her uncle is number 9. But the uncle, her father's brother from the same mother and father, meaning the same grandmother and grandfather. Then, if he's not there, then it's the father's brother that share the same father but not the same mother.
So the first uncle is number 9.
First uncle is number 9, and then the second uncle is number 10. Yes, it's 9 and 10. Number 11 is Thumma Benuhuma, then their children, meaning your cousins, the uncle's children, uncle's sons, that is. That's number 11. Then after that, Thumma aqrabu asabatihi binasab kal'irth. Then after that, whoever is closest to her in terms of lineage after that, from the asaba, from the men. Then after that, if there's no one, she has no one, then she goes to the sultan. The sultan here is the government or the leadership. Yes?
Excuse me. So it skips over the mother's side.
Well, I'm going to talk about that. The mother's side, because it's a good point. Now, if we look at that, well, wait a minute. I got a brother from my mother. What about him? Or what about my uncle on my mom's side? Or what about this? When it comes to wilayah in Islam, the wali is never from the mother's side. It's always from the father's side. Always. But keep that in mind, because we're going to come back to that. All right? Yes?
Given the condition of our society...
We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that.
Into what?
To that issue about the condition of our society. Go ahead, ask it anyway, because it might not be what I'm about to say.
I was just gonna say, what if any of those 13 are estranged?
We mean strange.
Estranged, meaning they're
Not-
not
they
in
don't know.
contact with one another.
They don't know.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that too.
They not cool.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that too. So, in the order in which we mentioned those, from the father all the way up until the lineage part, this is called aqrab fa'ab'ad, meaning the ones closest to her and then the ones furthest away from her in terms of lineage and inheritance. Not in terms of connection, like I'm closer to this brother or close. No, we're talking about in terms of lineage, okay? So keep that in mind. We have that which is closest and then that which is furthest away. Right. The next one is a sultan. If there's no one in her family that fits that criteria, now mind you, all of these rulings are based on there being an Islamic society. So then it says a sultan waliyu man la waliyu lah, that the rulership, the rulers will be the wali for the woman if they do not have one. Question: what about us? We don't live in an Islamic society. We don't have people ruling over us. A lot of times we don't even have Muslim men in our families. And I may have a brother that's Muslim, but this is my brother through my mother, not my brother through my father. And what about this? And what about that? And how does all of that fit? So the first thing is we need to understand how Islam looks at it first, the general rule. Now we can address our specific exceptions once we understand what? Once we understand the rule. Well, is that clear? You can't address exceptions before even knowing the rule. So right now, everything we're doing now, we're talking about rules. Now we're going to mention one exception. First one. This is Imam Ahmed's position. Then we're going to talk about what the Majma' Fiqh Council mentions about these issues. First one. فَإِنْ لَمْ يُوجِدْ الْمَرْأَ وَلِيٌّ. So the Salaf, they thought about all of this. They said, okay. فَإِنْ لَمْ يُوجِدْ لِلْمَرْأَةِ وَلِيٌّ وَلَا ذُو سُلْطَانٍ. If a woman doesn't have a wali and there is no Islamic ruler, what is she supposed to do? So they say, فَعَنْ أَحْمَدْ مَا يَدُلُّ عَلَى أَنَّهُ يُزَوِّجُهَا رَجُلٌ عَدْلٌ بِإِثْمِهَا. So Imam Ahmed said, in this case, then a man can marry her off if he's a just man. He can serve as her wali. It says, بِإِثْنِهَا. رَجُلٌ عَدَلٌ. Not just any man. رَجُلٌ عَدَلٌ. A man that is just. A man that is upright. A man that is looking out for her best interest with her permission. Now we're going to stop right there. Hold that thought. Because there's a whole story about it. What if they're the only person in town, etc. But that's the shahid that we wanted, that part right there. So, real quick, go ahead.
Is it a just Muslim or a just man?
No, it gotta be a Muslim. That's from the conditions before.
Right.
That was from the general rules, right?
Indeed.
Yeah, so
But
they
you
got...
said this was an exception. I just wanted to be
No, true. The exception to the rule doesn't mean exception to the conditions of the rule. Right? We mentioned conditions of a wali, right? And then who they can be. If they can't be this, then this. If there is no religious leadership, no Muslim ruler, and there's no family, then it could be this. Provided that all those other conditions are met. Huh? Why is that? The purpose is to maintain that sister's Islam. Right? A Muslim in general, the rule is that a Muslim is going to look for a good Muslim for that. So that's the rule, right? The rule or the general rule is that we're all Muslim and we all want to get to paradise, and you want to put her in the best position possible, right? You don't want to put her in a position that's going to be bad for her. But I lost my train of thought. So here, أنه يزوجها رجل عدل بإثمها. So let's say, for example, we have in our society a sister. Okay, before we get into that, we're going to talk about the Mejma Fiqh Council. Here, does that mean that a woman here in America, she just goes and picks any person she wants to be her wali? There's a statement, and it's a position. There's a position of the Mejma Fiqh Council as it relates to the women in the West that fit these categories. They say that in this condition here in America, these women should go to Marakis Islamiyya, meaning Islamic centers. And those Islamic centers should serve as her wali. The Islamic centers should serve as her wali. However, this all has to be based on her permission. So we heard cases, if a sister goes to a certain place and she fills out an application and they say, well, we only marrying her to brothers that go to this place and that place, right? She can say, you know what, I'm cool, I'm not going, I'm going to go somewhere else. That's her right. If she chooses a brother or a place to represent her, but she doesn't like the service that she's getting, she can go somewhere else. There's nothing that mandates that she stays with a person that she chooses if she's not pleased with the service that she's getting. Is that clear? Huh? A woman, whatever she is about her comfort, because it's her deen. It's her deen, and ultimately she's responsible for her relationship with Allah. If she feels that that particular place is not representing her needs to the way that she needs them to be tended to, she can go somewhere else. If you hear someone say, la, sister can't do that, as the early man would tell us, hey hat, bring your evidence to say that she can't. This is batil. Total batil. Understand? Right. Now, the next issue here, it says, okay, so are we clear on the issue of the wali, and it is not a wali, and she should go to Islamic center if she's not comfortable, etc., etc.? Is that clear? Right. The next part, it says, فَإِنْ عَدَلَ الْأَقْرَبُ. Let's say, for example, she has an uncle, Muslim, father's side, but he's far away. He can't do it for whatever reason. He's not able to do it. Can she go for ab'ad qabla aqrab? Meaning, can she go to, let's see, who's further down the list? Can she go to, let's say, can she go to her cousin from her Muslim uncle, as opposed to going to her Muslim uncle? She goes to her son. The son is further away than the uncle is, right?
You mean
Along the chain that we mentioned, right? The cousin is the last way, and then she'd rather go to the cousin than her own brother.
You mean uncles from the same mother and father?
Yeah, it don't matter, any uncle. But we're talking about the children. Let's say, okay, let me give you another scenario. Right? Her brother from the same mother and father. Right? Let's say, for example, he's not able to fully represent her. The uncle or the brother from the same mother and father is not able to fully represent her for whatever reason. So now she says, you know what? I'm going to go to my cousin. My cousin is better. The cousin is further away and the brother is closer, right? The brother is closer in terms of lineage and the uncle is further away in terms of, the cousin is further away in terms of lineage, right? Like, so it says, فَإِنْ عَدَلَ الْأَقْرَبُ, meaning he's not able to do it for whatever reason. Maybe the maybe the brother is barely practicing. Maybe he's, there might be some issues with him that he can't fulfill. Maybe he's out of town. Maybe he's in a place where he can't be able to do the necessary duty. And it says, Oh, lam yakun ahlan. Let's say, for example, her brother from her same mother, if I was only 14, 15, he's not really there. Can she go to the uncle? And it says, أو غاب غيبة منقطعة. Let's say that the brother is far away. Right? Now back during that time, they didn't have, cell phones and FaceTime and all that. So maybe he's far away, he can't come back, or whatever the case may be, or it's difficult. It says, in this case, it will be permissible for the cousin to marry her off, زوج الأبعد, meaning the furthest away can still marry her off. وإن زوج الأبعد أو أجنبي من غير عذر لم يصح. However, if a foreign, meaning if the cousin marries her off, or an ajnabi, meaning some other person outside of the family, marries her off without permission, min ghayri udhrin, without permission, then the marriage is what? Lam yasih. It's not correct. Huh?
Now, does the permission in that case come from the one who would have done it but was unavailable at that time?
The permission comes from the wali. So whoever the wali is on that level, then that's the person where the permission would come from.
So,
Yes.
Now, the person who initially would have been able to do it, like the brother, like you said, it may not have been around, that is her wali. Shouldn't he appoint a wakil in his absence?
That's what we're talking. Well, what if he's not able?
If he's not able to appoint a wakil?
Yes.
Okay, then
You mean, good question. You mean, can that brother appoint a wakil?
Yes.
Because he can't do it.
Yes.
But there are other family members that fulfill the status. It's possible. I don't know of any prohibition of that. Because the wakil will be for that brother, not for the next person in line. Allah, I don't know of any man there. If anyone who knows of a prohibitor for that, let us know. I don't know of any. That's a good question. Fishay? Dang. Allah, I don't know. I don't think so. Allah knows best.
so all right, we going down this chain, this chain.
Right.
Okay. All right. So we get down there. We farther down the chain. So when we farther down the chain, that person down the chain, he still can appoint someone before she can go to the next level.
That's his question.
That's the same question he's asking. Let's assume that that's the case, right? A wali can make anyone his wakil. So let's say it reached number 6 on the chain. That means they serve as the wali. At that point in time, in general, the wali can make someone else his wakil. And then if he's not there, then it goes down the chain to the next person that could be the wali. Mind you, all of this is in protection of the what? Of the sister. And this should be something that sisters should think about. You come into a place, you want to marry your brother, and the brother you want to marry appoints his homie to be your wakil. That don't even make sense. But he appoints his friend to be your wali. How is that possible? When Islam doesn't even appoint her brother from her mother. Think about that, sisters. Islam doesn't even appoint your same brother that could be Muslim from the same mother. But you're going to appoint the one you want to marry his friend? A stranger. He's a stranger. How can a stranger look out for your best needs?
No.
Now let's back up now. Back to the original issue. The brother asked a question. He said, well, what about, now mind you, we went through all of this, and now she has to choose someone because she doesn't have a male. Well, in this case, wouldn't it be only right that she chooses her brother from the mother? Or her uncle from the mother's side? Or all the, You see how that works? Because at the end of the day, they're gonna look out for her best interest, because that's the job of a wali, to look out for the sister's best interest. Not for the husband's best interest. The one who wants to get married, best interest is for her best interest. Why is that? Somebody may ask, why is everyone worried about the woman's best interest? What about the man's best? Because when a woman gets married, and Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, لو كنت آمرا أحدا أن يسجد لأحد. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, if I would have commanded anyone to make prostration to anyone, I would have commanded a woman to make prostration to her husband due to the status that he has. Brothers, men, when you marry your women off, make sure that she's married to someone that he can be that person to her. You don't want to put her in a position to marry someone and she can't be that person for him. And now she gets sins for not listening and so on and so forth. You want to put your women people in position so that she can be successful. You want to put your women folk in position so that they can be successful. You don't want to put them in position so they can cause harm to themselves, harm to their family, etc., etc. Does that make sense? Right. So the last one. The last part here is a shahada. The last condition here is a shahada. A shahada فلا يصح إلا بشاهدين عدلين ذكرين مكلفين سميعين ناطقين. All right. So the last part of the conditions here is that the witnesses, the shahada. You must have witnesses. فلا يصح. So it is not correct, according to the school of Imam Ahmed, it is not correct unless there are two witnesses that are just. That are men, that are mukallaf, that are accountable in front of Allah. Sami'ain, that they can hear, wa natiqain, and that they can hear. They can hear and speak. That they can hear and speak. The next issue here is, it's a bit, it's Islam, and it shows how detailed Islam is. The next issue here is called Al-Kafa'ah. Does anyone know what Al-Kafa'ah means? Now, this issue of Al-Kafa'ah, it means levels, that the spouses are on the same levels. What's understood here by levels is not a condition of the marriage, but some of the ulama say it's a condition al-istimrar, the marriage. It's a condition for continuance of the marriage, but not a condition for the correctness of a marriage. You got to understand this first before we go into it. Kafa'ah, which means certain level, is not a condition for the correctness of the marriage, but it is a condition for the continuance of that marriage. In order for that marriage to continue, is a condition. If parties of the marriage find fault with it. So what are we talking about? Let's say here, it says, لَيْسَتْ الْكَفَاءَةُ وَهِيَ. What are the levels here? The first thing is deen. The person has to be able to perform their obligatory worship. It's a condition. Al-Fara'id. وَاجْتِوَابَ النَّوَاهِي. They stay away from the prohibitions, etc. from the deen. So they do that which is obligatory, they stay away from the things that are prohibited in the religion. They say this is necessary, right? وَمَنْسَبْ. And they have to come from a good family, good lineage. These are issues that can cause a problem in a marriage. Or the third one, which is not really an issue here, is hurriya, meaning they have to be free, but we're going to exclude that one because that's not something that we deal with in our society. So these things are not a condition for the marriage. However, these are conditions to maintain a marriage. And some of the Salaf, they mention a sana'a, meaning that now mind you, these are all things talking about the husband. We're not even talking about the women. These are all for the men. The first one is that the men has to have deen with him. Has to come from a good family. They say he must have, one of the conditions they mentioned, that he has to have a good job. A good job. Not a little, not even, we're not even talking about money yet. We're talking about, he has to have a, not even talking about halal. We're talking about it could be a halal job, but he don't make a lot of money. It's not an honorable job to her.
So this condition you talk about is like,
it's all up to her.
Okay.
It's all up to the woman.
Okay.
A lot of times women don't hear this stuff, but Islam has it for you. You just got to crack the books, right? He has to have a good job, right? Sana'a, meaning, and this is a speech of many of the Salaf. And the next one has to be Rajulun Yasar, meaning it is preferable that he's wealthy and not poor. It's preferable that that man is wealthy, not poor. All of these issues can become conditions ala istimrar, the marriage, to continue the marriage. And we're going to come back to that in a minute. And then it says, فَلَوْ زَوَّجَ الْأَبْ عَفِيفَةً بِفَاجِرٍ. Let's say, for example, the father marries his daughter off to a man that is a sinner. It's awful, it's sinful, fasik. The father marries the daughter off to someone that is sinful. Huh? This could be a cause for her to say, you know what, Dad, this guy you married to is sinful, etc. Remember that, because we're going to come back to that. She says her father, he's sinful, her uncle, her brother, whatever, this man's not good. The brother says, I don't want to release her. We're going to come back to that. The next one. Oh, Arabiyyatin bi'a'jami. Or, this here has to do with nasab, lineage. Maybe she's Arab and he's not Arab. So she might not want to marry a person that don't speak Arabic because of the cultural differences. Whatever. It's their right. Just like you might want to marry somebody that is from this culture or that culture. That's their right. Or it says, فَلِمَنْ لَمْ يَرْضَى مِنَ الْمَرْأَةِ أَوْ أَوْلِيَاءِ فَسْخٌ. So let's say, for example, these issues are present. The husband has a job that she's not, he doesn't make enough money, he's sinful, etc. If she's not happy, or awliya'aha, meaning all her walis are not happy, فَفَسْخٌ, then she can get an annulment from the marriage. That she can get an annulment from the marriage. Before that, meaning, if a woman, these are the four things. This is why we said these things are a condition for the continuance of a marriage. There are four things in general. The deen. The brother doesn't pray all the time. He's not, he does a lot of things that are impermissible. The sister doesn't like it. Right? Her father doesn't like it. Her walis and her family don't like it. She says, divorce me. He won't divorce her. She says, I want a khul'ah. He won't give it to her. She has a right, we're going to come back to first in a minute. She has a right Islamically for an annulment. What is an annulment? An annulment is a separation of the marriage by a third party. Meaning, it's not based on the husband's approval at all. Give you an example. When we were in the mahkamah, in the courts in Saudi Arabia, there was a case that came in front of the judges when I was there. The case was a sister, she wanted a khul'ah. And the husband did not want to grant her a khul'ah. So I sat with the judge and we looked over the case. When we got to her beef or her problems, it was basically she just was tired of her husband. She didn't like him anymore. Right? She didn't like him anymore. She felt like, it was a bad situation for her. She wanted a khul'ah. The judge said, okay, we're going to grant you 30 days, try to make mu'alaja, try to bring peace between them. 30 days went by, came back, still same problem. The judge tried again. Left, came back again. The third time, he separated between them. Without his permission, without the husband's approval. Now, a person may say, hold up, akhi. What about the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where he said a woman cannot smell the fragrance of Jannah if she seeks out of a marriage bila haqq, or without the right, etc. Is everyone familiar with this hadith? I know all the sisters are. They gotta be. That's the card that men use. Ho says ho, you don't want, right? You want to smell paradise, you better chill. That's what men, no, I'm serious. I'm serious. All jokes aside, I'm serious. Right? So, however, a lot of brothers don't know that if you're not practicing your deen the way you want to, not only can she not get a khul'ah, because a khul'ah means she has to return back the dowry. Al-fasakh, annulment from a third party, means she keeps her dowry in steps. She doesn't have to give up nothing. Why? Because you weren't able to fulfill your end of the bargain. It's a contract. A problem that a lot of brothers have when you get married in our society is that we think that we own these women. We don't own them. We don't own them. They belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are abid Allah or ima Allah. They're slaves of Allah, not slaves to us. Women have rights in Islam. How many stories do we hear of women leaving Islam because they got married and was oppressed, and they believe that Islam teaches men to oppress women, etc. And they say, I was better off as a non-Muslim. Come in al-mar'a. You walk these streets today, you'll see a sister with no hijab. Assalamu alaikum, brother. What's up? Man, I was Muslim, but I couldn't deal with all that. I was married to this guy, and he did this, that, and the next, and the only way I was able to get out was leave Islam. Got a question?
Yeah. Now, with the example you gave, is that technically him not fulfilling his end of the contract because she just was,
The deen, sure. Now, so let's listen. Let's go back and visit it. The deen, his deen is not right.
Oh, okay. I was under the impression you said she just wasn't feeling him no
Well,
more.
but she can get out for that too, but not a fusk. It will be a khula. She can get out of it. Listen. If a woman does not want to be married, there's nothing in Islam that will make a woman stay married to a man if she doesn't want to be married to him.
I get that. I was just inquiring about the part where you said, well, he didn't uphold his end of the contract.
Meaning,
If she just stopped feeling him, that's not his fault.
no, that's not his fault. That's not his fault. But let's say, for example, he was working and quit his job. The responsibility for a man is to take care of his wife. The responsibility is not, all right, sis, you get a job, I get a job, let's put our money together. That's not the responsibility. If y'all agree on that prior to marriage, then that's the agreement. But the responsibility for a man is to take care of his wife. The responsibility for a man is food, clothing, and shelter. But
now, if, like you had mentioned earlier, when I came in, if she's not feeling it for any reason, she can get a call for that reason.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If by chance you're married to a sister and she says, I just all of a sudden, you know what, I'm not even feeling this no more. I'm not feeling you. It's real. I'm not feeling you. I want out of this marriage. She has a right to get out of the marriage. There's a narration of one of the Sahabiyat, and she mentioned that I fear kufr, being married to this man. She said, I can't complain about his religion. I can't complain about nothing about him. I just can't do it. So the Prophet ﷺ told him to divorce her and told her to give back the dowry that he gave her.
One more thing. Now, when a situation like that occurs, there's a process. Meaning she just can't say, I want out and boom, that's it, it's over. There has to be a process.
So here's the question. If you're talking about a third party or you're talking about a khula? So you gotta be real specific in your question.
Even with the kula, there's a third party involved. She has to
Not,
go back to
it's
her
not,
father.
no.
No?
So what's the third party for a khula?
I'm saying she has to go to her father and tell her father, or whoever the wali was, preferably her father or her uncle on the father's side.
I mean, she should, but that's not a condition.
Really?
No. Where's that condition mentioned?
No,
No, I'm just saying. I'm just talking to myself. Where's that condition mentioned? I didn't mean to say it to you. I'm thinking to her. That's not a condition that she has to know. If she says she wants out, obviously, what's better is that she notifies her family, like, look, I'm not feeling it, I went out, etc. But there's no necessary third party there for that. She can ask for out at any time.
To the husband,
What do you mean?
the kulat.
What about the khula?
According to what he's saying she just be like, man, I ain't feeling the brother no more. I ain't feeling you no more, not the brother. I ain't feeling you no more, husband. I want out.
Mm-hmm.
The kulat,
The husband has to grant. Yes, the husband has to grant the khula. We're not talking about a fuss. Now, yeah, there are two differences. Now,
excuse me.
No, go.
So what if he say, no, I'm not granting you that.
Right.
Then she goes for the third party, right?
Then she will go for a third party. Now here's the issue with that. We live in a town where many brothers want to study Islam. Many. There should be no reason why there is not a committee in place to deal with third party divorces. If you go to Michigan right now, state of Michigan, they have a set up system for third party divorces. You have in the UK, people that study, they have third party divorces. But here, it doesn't exist.
We don't have that many people.
Why is that?
Disunity.
Why is that? Why is that? And this is something that could be considered perhaps farm aim.
We have a lot of leaders that didn't study, though.
Say again?
We have a lot of leaders that didn't study.
Right, but there's enough that did.
That's not leaders. Not just leaders. That's around.
Right. The point is, it should be set up. It's necessary that, and it gotta be set up by brothers that study the religion, that study these issues of marriage and divorce. It's a responsibility. It's like when you go overseas and study Islam, you don't just go to study Arabic. I remember Sheikh Wasi al-Abbas told us, so he said if you wanted to just study Arabic, go to Egypt. And this is no offense to the brothers that study in Egypt. But he said if you want to study deen, this is why you're here. Study deen. Go back, teach your people. Go back, educate them on these issues are important. We're talking about families. Families. It's important. Through families come children. Huh? Children gotta be raised. It's not a game. This issue of marriage is not a game. Yes, people make mistakes, etc. We get it. But in general, it's not a game. It's not a game. And that these issues of fasq nikah, I've heard personally, sisters, they never heard of that before. You know, I can get out. Yes, you can get out. It's important that we understand that we don't own these women. They belong to Allah. We don't own them. They're not our property. They're not our property. So a brother may say, man, you can't divorce me from my wife. Islam says you can do that. Where you get that from? It's a whole chapters. It's a whole chapters talk about. Whole chapters in detail. Yes.
What if the man went out of the?
If the man wants out, he can divorce his wife at any time.
You don't need her.
No, he don't need her. No. This is what I'm saying. The man, if he wants out, he can just bar your divorce. She don't gotta have a reason or nothing. He doesn't have to have a reason. He just divorce his wife and move on. It's easy. So the women, they like, well, dang, well, what if there's a problem and I want to get out? Well, sorry, sis, you can't get out. No, Islam gives you an out. Everyone has an out. And this is unfortunate, not to say that people get married to get separated, but things happen. Things happen. Huh? I mean, it is what it is. The women Islam does not handcuff women to a marriage that's not beneficial to them. Islam does not do that. And at any event, we're going to start with that. Any questions? Yes.
Quickly, with regard to the different positions, where you said one position could be where some say they should make Islamic centers the wali, and then is that a separate position that says a just Muslim can be?
Right. So the issue of a just Muslim, that's the position of Imam Ahmed when he was asked about this particular issue. So the Majma' Fiqh Council, they took that and expounded on it and said, well, where we come from, we have Marakis Islamiyya, Islamic centers. The women should go to these centers and let the centers represent them. The thinking behind it is that these centers are going to look out for the best interests of the sister. That's the understanding. That's the marad, that's the qasd. However, if that sister feels like those centers are not representing her, then she can go somewhere else. She can go somewhere else. She's not forced to. The sister's not forced to get married to go to this particular place. She's not forced to do that. At the end of the day, it's who's going to represent her. Who's going to look out for her interests. Who's gonna make sure her, because you gotta understand, once a woman gets married, that's it. She's married to that man, and now whatever he is gonna come out. Who's gonna do their homework on these brothers? That's the job of the wali. That's the job of the wali, to do your homework. Where you from? Where you come from? What part of the city you from? Oh yeah, what school you want? Okay, who you figure out, follow the train. You gotta follow the trail. Do your homework.
Vice versa.
And vice versa. Do your homework on the women too. Like that's, I mean, this is the reality. And you find out you get married to somebody, you don't even know their name. Dang, I thought your name was such and such. No, it's really this.
That's real.
Yeah, it happens. Then you look, now you don't even trust her. And she don't trust you. So now it's like sleeping with the enemy for real now. Right? It happens. It happens. So any other questions?
I just want to make
Oh, because I know it's going to be some.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I don't have a
Well,
question.
let the sisters go, because they've
I
been.
just got a statement.
All right, make your statement.
I just want to say, wallahi, I just want to say thank you.
Jazakallah khair.
Because I've been Muslim for over 40 years, and coming to these classes make me realize how important it is for not only me, but all of us to get real knowledge, to seek people who really who learned Deen and really trying to teach it to us. So I just want to thank you and the brothers here at the Islamic Center and the Family Center for having the heart to teach what ain't been being taught.
Jazakallah khair.
I mean, like,
Tayyib.
Can the offer of acceptance be done by the man asking? Can the offer and acceptance be done by the man asking for the woman's hand in marriage and the wali accepting?
Can explain that?
Yeah. Do she have to respond? Can he just ask the wali and the wali?
So here's the thing. So the sister, when it comes to the marriage, the sister doesn't say anything. She doesn't say anything. She doesn't have to accept anything, and she doesn't make the offer. It all comes from the wali and the brother.
because he already talked to her.
Because the wali already knows what the sister wants. So the wali is offering the sister for marriage, and the husband will accept or reject. It has nothing to do with the sister. They don't even have to be there. Technically, yes. What if you don't have a wali because your dad isn't Muslim and your brother doesn't practice? Son just took his shahada and knows nothing about marriage. Who represents the sisters? In this case, even if he doesn't know much, you can talk to the son and say, listen, son, do you mind if these brothers at that masjid or that masjid can work with you, or maybe you can give it to them and that they can represent the mother in marriage, or etc. It's easy. It's not difficult. The problem is, even for you sisters that have parents that are not Muslim, maybe you have a father or a mother that are involved in your lives, it does not mean you have to exclude them. Pay attention to that. If you have a father that is not Muslim, he loves his daughter. Say, Dad, listen, this guy here, he's Muslim in our religion. His job is to find me a husband. I want y'all to work together. Work with the father. The wali shouldn't have a problem meeting her dad. Say, okay, this is how we do it. We're interested in this brother right here because of XYZ. Get the father's input. It doesn't mean you gotta take it, but get his input. At least you never know, that might turn his heart towards Islam, number one, and makes that sister feel more comfortable with you. Yes.
So I noticed that a lot of people that get married, they don't meet the families. It doesn't meet the family.
They don't meet. So a lot of people that get married, they don't meet the family.
They don't meet like the father,
Right.
the mother, none of that. They get married before they even meet the family.
Right.
What would you say about that, Sheikh?
I don't think it's good. It's not a good thing to do. I think that.
And that happens often in this city. They meet the family after the marriage.
Yeah, I'm familiar with this. It is authentic, but it's a difference of opinion than an issue. This is about women marrying themselves off. Like, so in some cases, the Hanafis, they do use the position of Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha marrying off her niece, right? But then there are different conditions to that. There's a lot to it. This is why, this truth, this issue of marriage, this book here is extensive. It's like another ocean. Saeed and I were talking earlier today. We didn't study this chapter until we was in school for 8 years. And then we finally got to this. 7 years. And then we finally got to this. This is like not something you study as soon as you get in. And when you get into it, that's a lot of information. So sometimes you got to look at the conditions around it. It's important to know the society that you come from, how different rules apply, etc. It's important. You're not just going to say, okay, well, based on, Aisha did this. What was the conditions around it? Let's say, for example, a woman is in a place and there's no men. There's no men. The ulama talk about that too. There's no men around to marry. There's no men around to marry. There's no Muslim men to marry. There's no Muslim men to be a wali. It's possible. You're in a town, it's possible. It may be another sister there. That's the only Muslim woman there. And there are only 2 Muslims. There may be exceptions. You can't just take statements and not look at what came before, what came after, and what does it talk about, and what the Salaf say about it. See, a lot of times, we pick up books, Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, we read a hadith, and now we understand the whole issue. This is ghalat. This is a mistake. That's the whole purpose. You have books that are shuruhat. We have books that are explanations of books of hadith that are volumes long. Read them. Read what they say. Read what the Salaf said. There's a statement. And this is one of the benefits of studying the madhab. Because the ulama of that madhab, they studied a lot of these issues and summarize them and say, okay, this is the position based on this, and this is why. It kind of concises it, makes it easier. Now, sisters, do you guys have any questions? No questions. All right, brothers, any questions online?
All right, so we went over the levels of the brother on the father's side.
Say again?
We went over the levels on the father's side, right?
Right.
And we said we was going to get back to my question. My question was, should she generally go to her uncle on her mother's side before she go to the Islamic Center?
It would be her choice. Whatever, mind you, it's her choice.
Right.
It's her choice. Whatever she feels is going to best represent her. Whatever she feels is going to get her a good marriage so that she can worship Allah and be obedient to her husband, etc., etc. It's about her. Right? It's about what she feels is going to be best for her. So if she feels that, I got a Muslim uncle, but a Muslim uncle on the father's side, on the mother's side, not on the father's side. If she has a Muslim uncle, but she knows he don't really care, but I know if I go to this center, or I go to that masjid over there, they known to be about their business, so I know they're going to take care of it. That's her choice.
Right.
Maybe she might want her uncle to work with them. Right? So, any other questions about that?
That is after she has exhausted every male on the father's side.
Up to 13, right?
Yeah, we went over a list of 13 men.
I wasn't here, I missed that.
Yeah, you missed 13 men.
MashaAllah.
Alhamdulillah. So after the 13, then that's when all this comes about.
Okay.
All right? Anything else? Like, any other questions online? No questions online? Alhamdulillah.
I can't scroll down.
Somebody else get online, see if there's questions on it.
They were saying-
Oh, they were already sent up.
He said no.
Okay, خلاص. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Young fella.